Retirement planning isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong process, according to Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Welcome into the show. It's the Retirement Compass radio show with Stonebridge. Jackie Selby on this side. Look who I have. Both Jeff Gove from the Kearney office and Tim Kulhanek over in the big, beautiful Lincoln office. But guess what? The new Kearney office is also big and beautiful, Mr. Gove. Looking
That's
good.
Right. You have to pull it up on the YouTube channel if it's on there and see the new window that I've got.
Wow, you can see the highway.
It's kind of entertaining being right off the interstate. You can see there's a lot of activity.
Did you see a police event or something? Yeah.
Somebody running through the scooters and all kinds of stuff.
I understand that there was almost a catastrophic grass fire that took place.
Yeah. Yeah, I told the gentleman, it seems like it might be a bit dry.
And breezy?
A little breezy to be, I don't know, cutting with a torch.
Using a blowtorch?
And there's embers going everywhere all the way to the ground.
I mean, was he using like that World War II flamethrower to do this?
It looked like it when it was coming down. He's like, no, I've been doing this. He goes, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've never had a fire.
Okay. First time for everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go inside.
He could put a notch in his belt now. He's got a fire.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
I look out the window and there's smoke billowing from our well, it wasn't our grass, just to be clear. It was to the west of us. So.
Oh, on the lot
whose
next
grass
door?
is it? Is that the city's?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well.
Yes.
We'll
They
say
had
it
a grass
was,
fire,
but
crazy people.
I also understand that it was right next to the substation, power substation that has like giant tanks filled with oil, probably. Not to mention the gas station that's right next to the substation. So, little fire won't hurt anything.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember how many homes. I asked the power company how many homes that services. And it's basically the south side of Kearney. So,
Oh, boy.
welcome to the neighborhood.
Well-
Sorry about the power outage.
Oh, whoopsie. Whoa.
Oops.
I'll make up for it now.
Yeah.
Listen, it is the dry prairie. At least finally some rain happened.
Oh,
That's
man, we're
right.
getting rain right now as we record this. We've had like 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches at my house over the last week.
Wow.
It's been great.
Fantastic.
Because it was 0 before that, as all of our farmers know.
It was negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It evaporated more than,
Sucked it out of the ground.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the cabbage and carrot diet or whatever it is. It takes more calories to burn the chewing. All right. Let's go on to talking about retirement. You guys don't know about the cabbage soup diet?
Yeah,
Cricket
I've heard of
Comes
it.
to borscht.
Crickets.
Have you had a bowl of borscht before?
Do you make it?
Comes to borscht? No, but Grandma Emmy probably could. Kelly probably can. I think it was Mark, my father-in-law's grandma or something. Not his mom, but his grandma that made some good bowl of borscht.
That'll clear your
Cabbage
sinuses.
soup.
Yeah.
Well, that could be
delicious.
your hobby going into retirement. Learn how to make that soup.
Yeah.
For me or
Yeah,
for
for
Jackie?
you.
For me, no. My hobby is fireworks.
Okay,
I got a
that's
big
good
show
one.
planned this year.
Jackie, you could get in your van, have a nice stovetop in there, and you could make soup.
Hot plate.
Oh, my gosh. Those vans go for a lot of money now. Tim Kulhanek, the guy who was going to make me a van last year, $64,000 he wanted. This year, $87,000. The price has gone up for that customization in there.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it's too much. Well, so I guess I'm going to just have to drive my car. All right, listen, speaking of retirement, some people do. They want to unwind, don't they, in retirement, and maybe take up a class, go to yoga, go to Pilates, take a cooking class, right? Do interesting things that they never had time to do before.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just had this conversation yesterday. So, we're recording on a Friday, just so people that aren't maybe familiar with the show or new to the show, welcome in. My name is Tim Kulhanek, alongside well-respected retirement wealth advisor Jeffrey Gove from the Kearney office, as Jackie Selby, our collated bull bear expert in the middle there, is outlining. So here's the thing. We have these conversations every day. This isn't new. It is a lifelong process. I had some clients who lived in Lincoln, moved to South Florida, and it's a new environment. It's like, all right, we're going to figure out what this is like. We're in this 55 plus community. HOA fees cover a lot of different things. There's a big community. We get to know the neighbors, hang out at the pool. And I said, well, what are you guys doing with your time? And so a few things. One, they're learning how to play bridge, which they said is actually really, really difficult game. They said it's an old game. It's been around forever, but he said it's really hard. I said, what can you compare it to? And he goes, some people say it has some resemblance to Pinochle, but he goes, I never played that. So they're taking classes to learn how.
Nice.
So that way they can be involved in more social community activities. They happen to move into a community that there's like entertainment every weekend. So every Friday, Saturday night, they have a band. Yes. You can hang out. You can dance. There's drinks. There's, hors d'oeuvres and all this fun stuff.
Wow.
They do water aerobics.
Yeah.
She's learning how to paint. So she's doing acrylic painting. So she literally showed me her paintings that she's been working on, and they're really, really good. And then I gave them a fun idea because they're telling me about some of their friends that they've met and how, some of them are snowbirds. So they've already gone back, flooded back north for the summer. But he's like, it's pretty slow right now, but, they'll be back probably November, December, or something like that. And I said, here's a fun activity that you could do talking about the painting. And my wife and I did this with some friends, and it was hilarious. So you get these little easels and a canvas, a small little canvas, and you sit across the table. And let's say you have like 3 or 4 couples. You sit across the table from one another, and you've got your brushes and your paint, and you paint your spouse, right? So you sit there and you paint a picture of them, and it's hilarious because typically what happens, especially in our group, because my wife, art major, her 2 friends that we were with, both art majors. So all they did was paint for 4 years.
And then you get in there.
And then here comes, Drew, Justin, and Tim. And one girl's teeth look like braces more than anything else. But it's hilarious because you wait until you're all done, and then you do one at a time. You do a reveal.
Oh, dear.
And I decided to go more of a caricature route with my wife because this is how I am. But fun activity. I think the thing here, people are thinking like, okay, you guys are financial advisors. Yes, and part of that conversation when I did this review, they said, okay, I said, so that's all great. How are you funding all of the activities? Because you got the HOA. The HOA is $800 a month. Is the distribution plan that we put in place working? They looked at one another like, man, it's actually working great.
Oh, good.
That's what I wanted to hear. So not only we did all the financial, the mathematical work on the front end, right? So not only having it fun, they're living in a place where they wanted to go, great climate. There's never a bad day, lots of days of sun. They've made friends. They have these activities they do. They're exercising. They're staying in shape. They're eating healthy, taking the cooking classes, all those different things. And we're funding it properly. Plus, they said, by the way, what should we do about the mortgage? We'd really like to take care of this because of the place that they live in. It's like it's impossible to get a 30-year fixed. The bank will only loan on these because you own like, I don't know how it works with like a 55 plus community. Like your HOA covers all the insurance and you like just own the contents or whatever. It's almost
right. You don't own the lot.
Yeah. You like own the shell or something like that. So anyways, for whatever reason, it's impossible to get a 30-year fixed. And so they're on a 15-year AM 5-year loan. And then they have to renew every 5 years. And the rates are probably 1.5 higher than what you or I would pay on a 30-year fix. Well, what's a 30-year fixed right now, Jackie?
6.87.
Yeah, exactly. Right there. So I'm like, yeah, we need to get, because they just moved down there here in the last couple of years. And now they're settled. I know their income plan's working. And we were looking at doing Roth conversions. And I said, well, in conjunction of a Roth conversion, we're going to convert like $60,000 this year. I said, let's back that off and let's partial what we'll do instead of just doing Roth conversions. I still want money in Roth because I'm worried about where this thing's headed as far as eventual tax increases that I think will be monumentally high. Let's get that mortgage paid off as well. So I ran an analysis. I said, what if we just added $1,000 a month to your mortgage payment, that what you're paying now? When would it be paid off? Guess what? When that 5-year period comes up, because they just refinanced last year, when that 5-year period comes due, right? Instead of having to get a new mortgage, guess what's going to happen?
It'll be paid off.
Sucker's paid off. And it's going to save them $33,500 in interest over the next 5 years.
Fantastic.
So having the tools to be able to help people accomplish their goals, realize their dreams, and save more money, keep more money in their pocket, that's what our firm is designed to do.
It's wonderful. Use this phone number to reach out to the firm, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. You could also go to stonebridgetaxbill.com, by the way, if you want to see how your taxes are going to shape up over the course of the rest of your life in your retirement. Again, on the number, it is 866-295-5146. P.S. There's some of my art. I'm not very good, but I can draw shapes.
That's so good.
It's elementary, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. My daughter's not quite in elementary school, and it's comparable, but it's good.
That's what I thought.
It's pre-K, though.
Yeah, it's pre-K. That, shapes are better. Listen, the Stonebridge offices really cover the Midwest. We have you covered in Nebraska for sure, but northern Kansas, it's kind of a mobile office situation. Also up in Sioux Falls. So they're a fiduciary firm. Just so you know, you can call this number. It's kind of a central number there at the Kearney office, that big, new, beautiful Kearney office, 866-295-5146.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
On this segment, I thought we could talk about the different phases of our retirement. And I love the story that Tim was telling about his client that went down to a resort thing, and they're learning all the cooking skills. And I guess that would be classified in their go-go years. Folks who are in their go-go years, 55 to 75? I don't know. What do you can you put a number on that? The beginning of retirement until you're kind of starting to slow down, Mr. Gove.
And that's the thing. Like it's. I mean, we can estimate when that is, but it's hard to put a real number on that because everybody's different. I think about my grandma, who's going to be 95 this summer. She's not in her go-go years, but she did buy a camper 2 years ago. And my uncle is driving her around in this camper, and he's very, very pleased to be doing it. But for everybody, it's different. We don't know what tomorrow holds, So when you retire, we want you to have a plan that you can go do the things that you want to do, because, not to be morbid, but none of us know how long we have, something diagnosed with something, or you get hurt and now you can't go do those things. So we want to design your plan so you can go do those things. You can, get the camper when you're not 93, 92, get it when you're, 65 or 55.
Does your grandma and uncle, do they have a channel like that we can watch on YouTube? Yes,
For sure.
They
really
should.
TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah.
And capture all of her stories, just with the phone on the dashboard while they're driving.
Well, and it's not only that, but we helped her in her yard last summer, and like grandma, she wants to take everybody for supper, right? So
Yeah.
we go up to Culver's. She doesn't use a debit card. I mean, she's 94 years old. So she gets out her checkbook.
At Culver's.
I look at this young man's face, and I'm looking at him, and I was like, take the check, or you're going to pay. You're going to get berated if you don't take this check. So I signaled to him to just take the check,
Just take
and then
it.
I will pay it
Right.
with my card.
Oh, my goodness.
Because she is.
They don't take checks?
Yeah.
Culver's.
No.
Okay, so NO on the debit card. Why doesn't she like the debit card?
Because she's 94 years old, and
all right.
we don't do electronic anything ever.
Ah.
So it's cash or a check.
She still lives in her own house, Mr.
She
Gove?
does. Yeah, she's out working in her yard and
Wow.
driving around. She loves to go to the parks, do picnics, and just have a good time. But not all of us will be that fortunate where, we have till 94 to go do some of these things. So
Right.
again, have a plan where you can go do the fun things that you want to do, because that's when you retire. Hopefully you're retiring because you want to, not because you have to, right? I mean, if you're in a position where you're choosing to, that's a lot better place to be. But go do the fun things. Go do the bus trips, do the Alaska cruise, do whatever is important to you. But you have to have a plan for that, because some of those things could be expensive. It could cost some money.
And to Jeff's point, we build those in when we're using our approach. When we implement the retirement compass, we're not just saying, yeah, our opinion is that this is going to work. We're going to objectively show you. So when you folks give us a call at the number Jackie's going to give you, when you come in, we're going to ask you the questions that need to be asked. Like, hey, when you're 94, do you plan on buying a camper and, having your, nephew drive you around or whatever it is for the next, starting a YouTube channel? But what is it that retirement looks like to you? Paint us a picture of where you're going to live, what are you going to do, how are you going to spend your time, and we build the plan. Again, there's no cookie cutter approach here. This isn't cookie cutter financial, okay? It's a customized, uniquely tailored, designed plan specific to your unique financial circumstances and situation and goals and aspirations. Some people want to make sure that they can leave a bunch of money to their kids. Others, that's not so important, but we're going to show you that. We're going to illustrate this plan for you in a way you probably haven't seen your money illustrated before, so you can see with your own eyes, oh yeah, here's where my income is going to come from. I'm going to have this much in Social Security, okay? And then, if you have a pension, here's how much it's going to be. We're going to use this strategy. Maybe it's the state of Nebraska, and you've got the cash balance plan. I'm going to tell you, okay, how much should you leave in the cash balance plan and convert to an annuity, and how much should you roll out to an IRA so you can take distributions on a more discretionary basis. I'm going to show you what account to draw from first. Should you do the standard taxable, tax-deferred, tax-free, or should we focus on more of a pro rata strategy? And then, by the way, here's what that's going to do for you, right? So here's that vacation that you said you wanted to take every year for $15,000. We're building that into your plan. I'm showing you so you can see with your own eyes before you. It's like results in advance. You can make a decision on whether or not the strategy that we're outlining is the best one for you, as if an architect was drawing up, the blueprint. You draw the blueprint first before you buy the house. We'll do that blueprint for you, no cost, no obligation to get the blueprint, and then you can be the judge of, is this the outline that is going to get me down the path of the retirement that I've been dreaming of. And that's what, honestly, Jackie, that's what I get the most enjoyment out of what I do, is showing people what is actually possible, how to utilize their money in the most optimal way to achieve their goals.
I love it. And to reach out to Stonebridge, here's the number, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. I think that we've named the channel for your grandmother and her, is it her nephew or her son?
Her son.
Okay.
Uncle, yeah.
It's going to be Granny Gove. Granny Gove's Adventures. Granny Gove's Adventures.
Oh,
what do you
that's a good
think?
one.
It is. And what kind of camper are we talking about here?
Well, it's actually an RV, a small RV with two twin beds side by side, which that's great for my uncle. Share that back room with grandma.
Oh, that is so cute.
Do they each have their own Harley as well, or how does
They've had some experiences, like the door on the side, it broke while they were out, and this is an old camper, so finding a door is rather difficult. But they had to drive home. It was a bit breezy in there without the door, but yeah, they made it, and it's
with the bed sheets flapping and the hold on to your pocketbook.
Yeah, don't lose the checkbook, Grandma.
Any papers, just a wind tunnel.
In a whirl. Yes, in a whirl. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, Granny Gove's Adventures.
One thing I wanted to touch on, I don't know how much time we have left.
You got time. You got a minute.
But that Tim touched on, the distribution plan, like how do we take money out? Because I've had a lot of people, a lot of callers from the radio show and from our TV show call in and say, I've been listening to you for several years. I put money in the Roth IRAs like you told me to. I put money in, I've got traditional IRAs. I've got this money I've saved in a brokerage account. I've got all of these different money types. Now I don't know how to get it out. Like, where do I take it from first? And everybody's situation's different. If you're in a really low tax bracket, we might take it from the taxable or the tax deferred. We might take it from the taxable first. A lot of times we won't take it from the Roth because we want that to grow, but it is really, really important to have a plan with how you're going to take that money out. So you've done a good job putting money in the places it needs to go. Now it gets a little bit more complicated because we need to understand where we need to take the money from once your company stops sending you a paycheck when you retire.
And the value, you just spelled it out, the value of having somebody in your corner and getting some, advice as you go through this process of retirement. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
Stonebridge Wealth Systems bringing you this program, Retirement Compass Radio Show. They want to get you to where you want to go. Whether it's on your, farm equipment, whether it's in the truck, whether it's in your wife's car. I don't know, maybe her car is the truck. It just depends. Did you see that school that all the kids drove tractors to school on their the seniors drove tractors to school for their senior outing? You guys didn't see it?
I've heard of that before.
So fun. I think it was South Dakota. Maybe it was North Dakota. I don't know. Anyway, it sounds fun to me. Can we just drive them all the time? How about that tax bill? Were you going to talk about that, Mr. Kulhanek?
Yeah, so I think it's important to at least touch on this. And there's a lot we don't know yet because as of this recording, it's passed in the House, but the Senate's working their version of it, and we'll see what actually becomes law, what gets to the president's desk and gets signed into law. But I think it's important to let people know what we know so far and some of the major provisions and some of the maybe pros and cons. So let's start with what has come out, at least in the House version. It has to do with tax rates. So back in 2017, when the Congress passed the TCJA, what we call the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, that was what a lot of people refer to as the Trump tax cuts. And it shifted brackets and expanded them. So in other words, what it essentially did, and it mainly helped marry filing jointly, if I'm being completely honest.
Marry filing jointly, okay.
But it did reduce rates for everyone, whether you're single, had a household, separate, or married filing jointly.
So it was a good thing, you're saying. Okay.
What's that?
It was a good thing.
Well, if you like keeping more of your money, it was a good thing. So
thank you.
You went from 0%, and it used to be 0 to 10 to 15 to 25 to 28 to 33 to 35 to 39.6. Now it's 0 to 10 to 12 to 22 to 24 to 32 to 35 to 37. And so things shifted a little bit, right? And so everybody got a little bit of a deduction or a reduction in their effective tax rate. But the more important thing it did is it broadened brackets out. So, for example, if you were at the top of the 22% bracket, which used to be the 25% bracket, well, with that income amount, where they'll allow you to stay in the 22% bracket, you would have actually been in the 28% bracket of the old system. So in other words, they broadened the brackets, the runways got longer. You had more income to stay in a lower effective tax rate under the provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Those have been extended. Now the key is they said that they've made them permanent. Here's a lesson for everyone if you weren't already aware of this. Nothing in Washington is permanent. Everything's written in pencil. So we expect here, I think, speaking on behalf of the team at Stonebridge, these rates to be in effect for, the foreseeable future, let's say the next 5 to 10 years. But at some point in time, the cons of this bill, so good news, you're not going to get a major tax increase because it was going to increase taxes on 68% of filers or something like that, or of Americans, because that doesn't mean it was going to not raise taxes on other people. If it was allowed to expire, it just means that there's a pretty good chunk of the American public that doesn't actually pay income taxes. So because we have really high standard deduction. So that's another thing that's being retained is we don't go back to a deduction and exemptions and the piece and the P's and all these different phase outs that were really, really complicated. Today, only about 7 or 8% of Americans file a Schedule A, which that's where you itemize your deductions out. This bill says, no, we're not going back to that. That's too complex. We're going to keep it simple using the KISS principle, and we're going to retain this larger standard deduction. Now, the House bill does include provisions that were really the buzzwords around this tax discussion. It was like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and then they talked about no tax on Social Security. The no tax on tips and overtime made it into the bill, but essentially what they are saying, my interpretation of it is they're making that type of income deductible. So they're saying, yeah, it's taxable, but then you can go in when you do your taxes if you're in a industry that is customary to receiving tips. So like Jeff and I can't designate our fee structure as, well, those are actually tips. And so therefore they're all deductible. They're not going to allow you to do that. To me, it opens up I hate the saying, but I'm using it, can of worms, because it's like they're going to have to, there's always people looking to game the system. And so they're going to have to be really careful to try to monitor this. Here's the thing though, there's a phase out on a lot of these things that starting in 2028, they'll go away. So folks, we'll continue to keep you apprised of the situation here. But the bottom line is you have to have a plan, because this might seem great for now, but your retirement isn't about the next 4 years or 5 years. It's about the next 30 plus years. And we want you to be prepared from a tax perspective for when these things get reversed and go probably much higher. Get in with Jeff, myself, or somebody on our team, and we'll help make sure that you are prepared for when those things occur.
866-295-5146, 866-295-5146.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Retirement Compass radio show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. I have, Jeff Gove at the new Kearney office, and I mean new. Yeah.
It's very new.
I'm very excited for you. Was it Ruby Tuesday before?
It was. Yep.
And you're sitting in one of the booths.
I am back in one of the seating areas. We do not have the salad bar anymore. That seems to be the most common question.
Blue plate special?
We sold it for $2.
Oh.
Like the whole salad bar for $2.
How much did we get for that $40,000 dishwasher? Like $40?
$3,500.
That's good. 40. Somebody bought it for their place. Their restaurant. Well,
no, their house.
No, that would
just
be
a massive industrial size
serving
dishwasher.
a lot of meals every day.
They're very hungry people.
Jeez. Well, it's exciting. And also Tim Kulhanek in the Lincoln office. And now your studio is still fairly new, but pretty soon Mr. Gove is going to be competing with you, and he'll have the newest Stonebridge studio.
It'll be better though. So,
did you that was a shot across the bow?
It's okay. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
we're getting a conference room table that's similar to Tim's, but we made sure it's at least an inch longer.
Better.
Right? I mean, yeah. We've got a deal worked out with Mr. Rastus now.
Yeah. Tell me the name of the fellow who does your woodwork.
Last time I plug him. Nobody.
Who's the guy who made your table? No, Jeremy didn't. Oh, you're not getting any compensation for mentioning him, so shall we not? Or what are you telling me?
It's Native Sawmill Lumber Company. I can't not give him a shout out because he's a craftsman and it's impressive. And him and I worked out a deal that it's actually going to be an inch shorter. I throw him a couple $100. But these clowns aren't going to measure it, so they're not going to know. So.
Oh, my gosh, you two are something. All right, so let's do something exciting and talk about retirement. Do you think so in this segment?
That'd be exciting. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do. I like Dwight D. Eisenhower's quote, "Plans are worthless, but planning is everything." You have to have a planning process, and you have to have a plan to get to and through retirement. Because otherwise, it's just a DIY project. You would have a table for your conference room that kind of looked like it was a shop project.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's really true. You have to have a plan to start with, right? We talked about Rastus and building these tables. He had a plan, and we went out and we picked the wood that we wanted him to use.
Oh, boy.
And he showed us like how he would line everything up so it all looks the way that it should, and how the epoxy will work in there. Well, a few weeks ago, we got a text message from Rastus that said, I've been working on this table, and I'm afraid when I get ready to put it together, it's going to end up being too thin once he prepares the wood. So we had a plan, but we had to amend the plan. So he still said, I still have a plan, but here I'm going to tweak it. We're going to use this piece that we also looked at instead with this other one that still will match up perfectly. So we're still good, but we just amended the plan. So, we have to have a plan to start with. There might be changes. There will be changes in the plan as you move forward. Tim did a segment on taxes, the tax bill, that's going to change. If that's the next 4 years, the next 6 years, whatever, I can promise you the tax rates aren't going to be the same for the next 30 years of your retirement. So we have to be prepared to make, a lot of times there's small tweaks. It might be a big change in the scheme of things, but for you, it might be just a small tweak in your distribution plan or your legacy plan, one of those. But you have to have a plan to start with. And you go off the information that and then we make adjustments as we move forward.
But you have to start 866-295-5146. That's the number to reach Stonebridge, 866-295-5146. It's a centralized number so that regardless of where you're listening, where you're hearing the radio show, then you'll get to be able to schedule with whoever and wherever you need to be in the Midwest. 866-295-5146. That's that number to reach Stonebridge. What's an income floor? Tim?
An income floor? In what context do you mean that?
What's your income floor when it comes to your retirement? Is this an underestimating of your predictable income?
Yeah, so income floor, a lot of retirees underestimate how, I think, comforting a predictable stream of income can be. And so to me, it comes back to willingness to spend. So I always take this back to things that are glaringly obvious, right?
Okay.
People who have less of a lower income floor or little to no income floor are going to spend less money and therefore have a lower level of satisfaction and enjoyment throughout retirement because of the fear of the unknown. It's a rational response to not knowing how long I'm going to live, whether I'm going to have some sort of health care issue pop up. I could be somebody who ends up, at Tabitha before 80, or I might be cruising around in an RV with my son at 94. Two totally different potential outcomes that could drastically change the trajectory of what your expense pattern is and how much income you're actually going to need. And because of that unknown, and we're talking about a potentially, that could be 20 extra years of income I require. I need to have an income floor so I can spend with confidence. I need a license to spend. So maximizing Social Security is going to be really important. Now, a lot of people hear that and they'll be like, oh, yeah, great advice, Tim. You just want me to wait till 70. No, I don't. But I want you to be smart about Social Security. So if you're entitled to, let's say, a $3,600 a month benefit at full retirement age, and your spouse is entitled to, let's say, $1,500 a month at full retirement age, and you say, well, I'm going to wait until full retirement age, and so is my wife, assuming she was the lower of the two, just because historically that's the way it is. I know Jackie, she's like, I might have it was the wife that was higher. Maybe it was. The point is that way of thinking about Social Security is, in my opinion, erroneous, because if the wife in that scenario delays till full retirement age so she can get her full $1,500 instead of taking it out at age 62, let's say, assuming she's retired because there is an annual earnings test, yes, she would have got a deduction, a reduction, an offset, if you will. There's something called a reduction factor that they go by the number of months before your full retirement age that you file, and it'd be 30%, let's say, if your full retirement age is 67. So, if it would have been $1,000, I should have used that for easy math, or $2,000, it would have been $1,400 that I got instead of $2,000. The thing of it is, here's what's important to keep in mind. That's okay because women 80% of women die single, 80% of men die married if they're married, right? So why is that? Because women tend to outlive men by a few years. So with Social Security, you realize that the survivor keeps the higher of the two, but not both. So I had a couple the other day, and there's an 8.5-year age difference. And they were wondering, should she draw early at 62 or should she wait till full retirement age? And it's almost that exact scenario outlined for you. Who's a high income earner? She mainly worked administrative and part-time and spent a lot of time out of the workforce with kids, staying home with kids. It makes no sense at all for her to delay until full retirement age because odds are she's going to step into his benefit eventually. And no matter how long she delays, it's never going to be as much as his is right now. So making a informed decision when it comes to things like Social Security and how you're going to augment or complement Social Security with other forms of guaranteed income in retirement so you have peace of mind, I think is really, really critical.
866-295-5146. To call Stonebridge, 866-295-5146. You always talk about something that I think is fascinating, Tim and Jeff, is that the satisfaction level in retirement is not based on how much money is in there and you watching this money get depleted, like from an IRA situation. But it's from laddering or having a plan where the money is going to keep showing up in your, is it mailbox money? Is that what you call it? So that you don't have to watch these, balances, if you will.
A lot of it is from the neck up, if you will, as far as enjoyment in retirement. It has to do with, do I feel financially secure? And I think the way you make sure people feel financially secure is by showing them, right? Not just telling them, but I want you to show me, Tim, that I'm going to be okay. And if I can show you when you come in, I can say, okay, here's if you keep going the way you're going, all right? And there's let's say that there's a 74% chance that this is going to work out. Pretty good, right? Here's if you make some of these adjustments, these small tweaks. So it's usually not a complete overhaul. It's like, hey, if you used a better Social Security strategy, a better distribution strategy, and you're more tax efficient, boom, 74, nope, we got it up to 92. Which one would you prefer? The 74% chance of not running out of money or the 92% chance of not running out of money? It's really that simple. It doesn't have to be more complex than that.
And what do you call it? Gosh, you have a really clever term for it, like permission or something to have a distribution plan that's not going to affect your mental health day to day.
I called it earlier license to spend because
there you go. License to spend.
Essentially, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, look, you're not because you're not reliant on all of this money over here because we've set up a distribution plan that's going to produce enough income to not just cover your base, like, Jeff was talking earlier about how he eats dirt now because he's on this health kick. Well, if you want, we don't want to just have you eating dirt, right? We want to make sure that you can do some things you want to do. So it's not just covering the taxes, insurance, and the fuel, to get around to the car. It's covering those discretionary things like the vacations and the travel and the clubs and the memberships. If we set up a plan where those things are covered on money that's not dependent on what happens on Wall Street, it's a plan based off of choice, not circumstance. So you're not going to have to wake up and be like, oh, tariff war is back on. Right. I guess I can't go on the trip anymore.
Right.
I don't want that to ever be the case for anyone that's listening to this show. And we can help avoid that by implementing a plan built off of choice, not circumstance.
866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Choices are good, circumstance not good. In other words, being proactive and not reactive. Again, on the number 866-295-5146 to reach Stonebridge all over the Midwest, including, northern Kansas, Sioux Falls, all the way across Nebraska. You get the idea. 866-295-5146. Questions and answers next.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to stonebridgetaxbill.com.
Welcome back to the show. It's Retirement Compass Radio Show. We all have the spring/summer feels going on. It just feels good, doesn't it? I like the change of season. It's exciting. Things are happening. And we have birthdays. Well, we talked about London's birthday, Mr. Gove's youngest child. And then Mr. Kulhanek, your 5-year-old is turning 6, right? Or your
4-year-old's
turning 5.
Lenny Lou.
Happy birthday.
Does she think she's a grown-up?
She talks like one. It's hilarious. But she was also, as you guys saw this, I was demonstrating. She knows how to dance like a dinosaur, and she was showing me the dinosaur dance and also the long neck.
I was showing the neck. Yes, she was.
Her and Hattie both.
Funny.
Yeah, we had dance recitals a couple weeks ago. By the time this airs, and Hattie would have made, I said, John Madden proud if she was a quarterback running the Statue of Liberty play, because she did not move a muscle she just went like this the whole time. And then she went like this and turned her back to the audience and just stood there.
Oh, my goodness.
She danced with me outside of the recital hall after we were done.
Just too nervous, huh?
Like, even around a small group of family, she won't dance.
Oh,
it's
that's
just
too bad.
Mom and dad. Like, she wiggles around, does her little thing. Lenny did really good. She's wearing black shoes with green bows on them. And she noticed, like, midway through the song, that one of her bows had fallen off her shoe.
Uh-oh.
So she just bent down and started fixing her. You got to look right, man. You know, style matters. Style points matter. And so the whole audience was laughing because everyone else is doing the dance, and here's this little girl putting her outfit back together. And then she picked up without missing a beat. You know,
this is pure comedy right here. We have some scenarios. It's mailbag time here on the program. This is Stonebridge Well Systems' show called Retirement Compass Radio Show. So let's dig into some retirement questions. After retiring early at 62, this is a situation where someone is living off of a mix of savings, part-time income, while delaying the Social Security. Markets are uncertain. Interest rates are still high. Should they consider tapping into their home equity or investment properties as a backup income source at this time? What do you think, Jeff?
Oh, happy to jump in here, Jackie.
Oh, please, Jeff. I thought you had it. I'm sorry.
So I don't know a scenario where I would recommend, tapping into home equity, because really what you're doing is you're adding expense. So your expenses are going to go up. If you pull a line of credit or something like that, you're going to have to pay that back, right? I mean, it's an added expense. So wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that, but I think, we need a lot more detail as far as what your plan is, and we'd want to test that plan and see, should you be drawing Social Security? Maybe. I want people to draw Social Security as early as possible, as long as their plan is set up to work, meaning we can get to age 95 without running out of money. That's our objective. It'd be, again, I can't think of a scenario, and Tim, jump in here if you can, of a situation where, let's tap home equity to live on for our living expenses.
Not in your 60s.
While you're retired and working part-time and need income. To me, that doesn't make sense.
No, I can tell you that I did see early in my career a fella who, so we took over for an advisor who left the community and went elsewhere. And we had bought a book of business that was bought by the predecessor firm, if you will, that we were affiliated with. And I remember having a discussion with this fella, and I asked him where the money came from, because even back when I was brand new and didn't know a whole lot, but thought I knew more than I really did, I still knew that I needed to know my client. I needed to know, like, who is this person? Where'd they get the money? Are they, slanging, product on the corner, and I can't be part of a money laundering thing. It's called AML, anti-money laundering. And so I asked him, well, where'd the money for this investment come from? He goes, oh, my house. Like, you're safe, or what are you talking about? He goes, no. We'll say that the advisor's name was Bill.
All right.
It wasn't. No, Bill, I had my house paid off, but Bill told me there was a great investment opportunity, so I just remortgaged my house, pulled a bunch of the equity out, and I put it in this investment. And I'm like, you had your house paid off? And now the reason that you have a $175,000 mortgage at 5.5%, 6% is because you put it in the stock market, and you've hardly made anything, and now you're struggling just to keep up? He goes, yeah, it probably wasn't a very good idea, huh? Well, no, in retrospect, it was not a very good idea. So when I hear things like this, I think of, we'll say his name was Richard. I think of Richard, and I'm like, you know what? No, we're not doing it. Now, is there an argument to be made for, is there a way to tap into your equity for like a backstop approach? Yeah, you could use your home equity as a backstop. Like, hey, if everything else goes perfectly wrong and I make really bad investment choices and I spend way too much money and I'm, broke, but I got my distributions from my IRA stop because they went to zero because I spent it all, but my bills don't. That's where I think a backstop, when I say backstop, think of like playing baseball. Like it's the thing that's like, if the catcher misses it, right, it's eventually going to have something that keeps it from, rolling clear through the stadium in the concourse. Right. That's where tapping into home equity can make sense, but like not specific advice. Mileage varies widely on this. Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you very much for both of you kicking in on that. 866-295-5146. That's how you call Stonebridge Wealth Systems, 866-295-5146. They offer a no charge, no obligation meeting. I hate to say appointment because then you feel like you're having your teeth extracted. Yeah, let's have an appointment. Oh, boy. I don't want to do that.
Just have a visit.
A visit. I like this. Let's have a visit. You guys distribute coffee or lemonade or whatever the case may be. So again, on that number, 866-295-5146. Here's another scenario. With most of their retirement assets in pre-tax accounts, these folks are worried about higher future tax brackets. If they don't need all the money right away, how can they start shifting to a more tax-efficient mix, especially given the recent market dips? Tim Kulhanek.
Yeah, we focus a lot on dips. We are dip experts, okay? Actually, my mother-in-law is a dip expert. I'm telling you, she got good BLT dip.
I thought you were talking about like the dips when you work out. Like,
oh, I do dips. Look like I got kicked by a mule back here, okay? So
I thought dips were those little ice cream things.
The Dippin' Dots.
Yeah, those are Dippin' Dots.
Those are really good.
Yeah.
Harry Brecka says no.
Yeah. No. I used to, back when College World Series was at Rosenblatt, I went every year because I was in high school and we had a baseball tournament during College World Series. I would absolutely, they'd see me coming. They'd try to close the thing down because they knew that it was the end of the Dippin' Dots. Oh. I was about to have my way. Anyways, this is such a perfect example of what I see like playing out over the next 20, 30 years. So let me just provide a little bit of educational background on why this is so critical. When the government does something and they pass a bill and they give it a name, just kind of assume, at least this is what I do. I'll speak from my own perspective. I assume that it does the exact opposite. So like the Secure Act was passed in December of 2019. Secure Act 2.0 was passed in December of 2022. Secure, making retirement more secure, setting every community up for retirement enhancement act, does the quite exact opposite. Now, you've got the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. You've got this new bill that is going to be passed that's going to extend some things, but some of it's gimmicky because a lot of these provisions like no tax on tips and the additional deduction for seniors, that's going to be like 4 years and it phases out. Unless they extend it, at which point it just means it's going to cost a lot more than what they told you up front, which is what the government does, again, all the time. Point being, when they passed these bills, the Secure Act, for example, and they extended your required beginning date out from 70.5 to 72, and then that was augmented further by Secure 2.0, which pushed it to 73, unless you're born in 1960 or later. Or for Jackie's math, if you're born in 1962 or later, it pushed it or the 1800 to 2500s.
59.
Anyways, it's between 73 and 75. Now, this is really important. So I'm sorry if I'm confusing you folks, but required beginning date is when you have to take money out of your IRA. The government says, hey, you know what? You did a great job of growing your money and ours. Thank you. You took all the risk. You paid all the fees, did all the expense, did all the work, made all the contributions. But that's a portion of that, by the way. You were kind of in business. It's like you were in business with us. So now we want our cut, right? It's time to pay up. When they did that, they also changed how your beneficiaries will inherit the money. So they're pushing the beginning date out further, but they're also substantially contracting the period over which your beneficiaries could take distributions if there was money left over. And so by doing that, they're going to consolidate distributions from maybe a 30 or 40 year time period into just 10 years, which means higher distributions, higher tax rates, more revenue to the government, less compounding, less triple compounding interest, less tax deferral for you and your beneficiaries. Right now, from a mathematical perspective, there's almost no possible way that tax rates can stay at this level long term without the government. This isn't coming from me. This is coming from the Penn Wharton budget model. This is coming from David Walker, who's the former head auditor, basically, of the U.S. government. He was the comptroller general from into the 80s and 90s. He retired in 2009. He said in his book in 2010, Come Back America, that tax rates will have to go up substantially, potentially double from their levels at that time, which were higher than they are today, just for the government to be able to make their promises for the next 75 years for things for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and interest on the debt, which those mandatory programs alone eat up basically all of the revenue the government brings in every single year. How does this relate to our scenario here? Because if you're living in the tax-deferred paradigm, what you have in your IRAs and your 401ks, I'm glad you have those, but what you actually have is a growing, building, taking tax time bomb that when it detonates, you won't have, it'll be too late for you to fix the problem if you keep deferring in the future. So what do you need to be doing? You need to be looking at, hey, you know what? I was in a 32% bracket when I was working. I was making good money, and now I'm in this 12% bracket. I need to be taking advantage of these low rates. Don't just tax loss harvest, tax gain harvest. Look at things like Roth conversions. How much should I be doing? Work to do this early, before age 63, so you can avoid IRMAs or income-related monthly adjustment amounts. So you can avoid the surcharges that come with additional Medicare premiums. There's so much we could get into here, guys. That's really, really good stuff. But the bottom line is there is a mathematically ideal balance for you to have in the first two tax buckets, taxable and tax deferred. Everything else, any surplus above what we determine should be that ideal balance, should be shifted over. And any surplus should be shifted over to the tax-free bucket. I can show you how to do it. Jeff can show you how to do it. The experienced advisors on our team, we can show you how to do it. But we're going to need a little bit of help, which is just starts with let's get in contact, right? Go to our website, or better yet, call the number.
Let's get in contact. 866-295-5146. 866-295-5146. All right, that's it. Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems is a wrap. Can I have the music, Tim?
Oh, I was ready.
You sure were.
Jackie, if you can
break down,
throw in the stonebridgetaxbill.com would be a good place for that.
Oh, yeah. Go to stonebridgetaxbill.com. That's stonebridgetaxbill.com. You find out what is your required, let's call it your mandatory tax bill, what's your optional tax bill. You'll find out, and then you could be the judge. Do I want to pay just the mandatory required amount, or do I want to voluntarily pay more to the government? I know which one I would pick. You be the judge, and then you can give us a call so we can review that with you to help you shift from the optional additional tax phase to the more mandatory minimum tax bill. stonebridgetaxbill.com.
866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Now cue the music, Tim. There it is.
All right.
Getting funky with it.